Hello, I am Dr. D.D. Sawant, Department of Geography. The today's topic that is a period of plant domestication and agriculture. As all of you are knowing to this that we are related to the agriculture. So the stages of domestication, if you'll see, the first stage that is the pre-adapted wild plants with weedy tendencies and large reserves of food began to colonize the open ground around man's house. Probably seeds were dropped accidentally near the house from the natural habitats. Second stage, that is a seeds were regularly harvested as food from the open ground around man's house and fenced to protect them from domesticated cattle and other herbivorous animals. At this stage, the man also select mutants for increased yields, palatability, and other desirable traits. And last stage, that is a third stage, man learned sowing of seed at the right time with understanding of plant for required husbandry up to harvesting. So, if you'll see, the domestication of plants for food was a hallmark in the development of human skill of taming and controlling the biotic component of the natural environmental system or ecosystem. Domestication of plant initiated primitive type of agriculture and sedentary settled life of people who previously were nomads and wanderers. But still, many of the people used to live nomadic life. It may be pointed out that initiation of cultivation of mainly food crops resulted into formation of social groups and organization which gave birth to early human civilization known as river valley civilization, because most of the people settled in the river valleys due to availability of water and fertile land for cultivation. Thus, the emergence of socially organized human communities, human civilization, and farming practices changed the existing, almost friendly and cordial relationships between man and his natural environment. So, gradual but continuous improvement in farming practices resulted into gradual increase in human population and in the number of domesticated animals, and thus more and more virgin forest lands were cleared through felling of trees with the help of more advanced tools and weapons, and through burning of forest in order to increase the agricultural land so that increased number of human beings could get food. People also moved from the areas of greater concentration to other areas in search of new fertile land. This led to spread of human population and thus destruction of natural ecosystem, shifting of zooming cultivation, which was most prevalent form of primitive cultivation, was responsible for more destruction of natural forest. Such farming practice is still in operation in many of the hilly regions of South and Southeast Asia. Also in northeastern hill states of India are still characterized by zooming cultivation. As here, types of domestication, if you'll see that in incidental didn't happen on purpose. Hunters, gatherers dropped seeds scared of natural herbivores, disrupted natural environment so that plants could grow. So the directions which are given that as humans and plants became dependent on each other. So better plants help people get healthier, planting more, yeah, plants, etc. Hence, the agriculture as a human intervention in crop husbandry, cultivation, which was selected. And hence, the syndrome of domestication, if we'll see what it is. The syndrome of domestication is the subset of traits that collectively from the morphological and physiological differences between crops and wild progenitors. These distinct suites of traits, later termed the domestication syndrome, would likely be selected for the initial stages of domestication, which was given by Harlan in 1973. So, what varieties which are morphological having changes, a variety of physiological changes. So, the scope which came ahead to this plant domestication, and that scope of was for yield stability of a crop rather than yield maximization on average fields. So, if we will see the alteration of the land use, for example, legumes and cereals have a contrasting response to the seasonal rain profiles, and therefore, when cereals provide poor yields, the grain legumes are likely to give relatively high yields and vice versa. So, the scope for nutritional perspectives, if we see a mixed diet of both cereals and grain legumes, is a more sustainable strategy than reliance on a single cereal or legume. For example, soybean and rice in China, maize and common bean in Mesoamerica, sorghum and cowpea in Saharan Africa. So such type of plants which were domesticated. And the effects, if we'll see the what effects which are being while doing the domestication and the selection which was done. So the reduction in genetic diversity, the diversity which came ahead at domestication related genes and tightly linked loci in domesticated crops relative to the wild progenitors. This reduction has two causes, and those two causes which are number one is genetic bottleneck. The bottleneck effect is an extreme example of genetic drift that happens when the size of a population is severely reduced. Events like directional selections can decimate a population, killing most intermediate individuals and leaving behind a small, random assortment of survivors. Next one, that is a selective sweep. In genetics, a selective sweep is the process through which a new beneficial mutation that increases its frequency and becomes fixed. That is, reaches a frequency of number one is the population leads to the reduction or elimination of genetic variation among nucleotide sequences that are near to the mutation. So here three major crops have genetic roots in Mexico as on the left hand side, Pacific Ocean. On the right hand side, Bay of Campeche means Gulf of Mexico, which is seen, and hence the bean squash which is grown, yeah, the frequency which is shown over here in this map. So such type of crops which are grown, and hence the modification of the various crops which are done, and teosint and the modern corn. If you see the various differences of the such crops which were generated uh, in the coming in the modern age. So domestication of maize through wild progenitors. So here such type of crops which are grown near to the waterland, yeah, water side, yeah, uh, various fields, yeah, on the places where the fertile land is seen. So like this way, if you'll see that this is the very much important to march of time, man develop his own environment through known as the cultural environment by building houses and thus creating villages and towns and cities, by developing social institutions like schools and colleges, by building places of worships like temple, churches, mosques, etc., by constructing roads, railways, railroads, bridges, canals, etc. It may be pointed out that all these and many more elements of cultural environment were evolved through various stages of agricultural development up to 1860, or say before industrial revolution. All this could be possible because of development in technologies which changed the physical and social man into economic man, but no serious damage was done to the natural environment through significant changes, no doubt, were brought in the environment. Though man became successful in transforming the natural environmental resources in his way, but the nature was still supreme and master, and man continued to be guided by physical environment. Thank you very much.